Welcome to Crime Maze. In this video we are going to talk about 5 strange unsolved mysteries in Ohio. Before starting this video, like this video and subscribe to Crime Maze channel for future updates. Missing persons, signs of extraterrestrial life, and thousands of anonymous, vindictive letters are just a few of the strange occurrences that have occurred in Ohio over the years that have remained unsolved despite the efforts of numerous investigators to date. There have been a number of unsolved mysteries that have occurred throughout the state that we believe are among the creepiest, strangest, and most unsettling ever recorded. Please keep safety in mind as you travel during these uncertain times, and consider adding destinations to your bucket list that you can visit at a later date. Number 5. The Circleville Letter Writer. In the late 1970s, the small town of Circleville and the people of Pickaway County began to experience what some have referred to as a real-life A from Pretty Little Liars experience when thousands of people began receiving personal, mysterious letters about their lives. Several of the letters were written in block style and contained material that was vindictive, violent, and vulgar. In connection with the letters, one of the letter recipient's husbands was murdered, which many believed was connected to the letters. The letters continued even after a suspect was arrested and sentenced to prison. The letters continued to arrive in residents' mailboxes until the late 1990s, and they were addressed to both city officials and average citizens. The identity of the author was never revealed. Number 4. The WOW Signal. A strong narrowband radio signal, known as the WOW signal, was detected on August 15, 1977, by Jerry R. Eman at the Big Ear Radio Telescope of Ohio State University, at the time, located at Ohio Wesleyan University's Perkins Observatory in Delaware. Despite the fact that the signal lasted for an entire 72 seconds, it indicated that it was not of terrestrial or solar system origin. When Eman looked at the computer printout, he circled the signal and wrote the comment "wow" beside it, which became known as the unofficial name for the signal. The signal was never discovered again after that. Number 3. The disappearance of Cindy Anderson. Cindy Anderson went missing on August 4, 1981, after being plagued by a series of bizarre and frightening dreams in which she was abducted and murdered by an unknown assailant. She had been missing for several months. The legal office where she worked was assumed to have abducted her despite the fact that all of the doors to the office were locked, and an alarm had been activated to notify the store next door that she had been taken. Cindy's co-worker was taken aback when she discovered that Cindy's book, which she was currently reading, had been opened to the only violence section of the book. There was also additional evidence that Cindy had been the victim of foul play. Despite the fact that there was no sign of forced entry, there were several leads pursued by the police, including one involving an unidentified man spray painting "I love you Cindy" on a wall near her office, but Cindy was never located. Number 2. The Ohio Prostitute Killer. A serial killer who is suspected of murdering at least 8 prostitutes throughout the state is still on the run, according to police officials. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, 8 women were discovered murdered along major interstates in Ohio. It was suspected that each of the victims had been identified as prostitutes, and each of those women had been identified as working at truck stops. Extensive investigations conducted over the years have linked the murders together, though no one has ever been identified as the perpetrator, and the cases remain unsolved. Number 1. The Butcher of Kingsbury Run. This unidentified serial killer, also known as the Cleveland Torso Murderer, murdered and dismembered at least 12 victims from among Cleveland's homeless population, many of whom remain unidentified to this day. He was also known as the Cleveland Torso Murderer. According to recent speculation, the butcher may have traveled west, and may also have been the murderer of Elizabeth Short, who was the subject of the Black Dahlia murder case. Here are some more examples. The harassment of Bill and Dorothy Wacker. Bill and Dorothy Wacker lived in a small town in Stark County, Ohio, and despite the fact that they were quiet, unassuming people, they were subjected to a severe campaign of harassment that began in 1984 and continued until the present day. Both the elderly couple and their caregiver were subjected to physical attacks, strange phone calls that were occasionally threatening, and at other times only heavy breathing and robbery. Their belongings were mysteriously returned to them over the course of several days, with strange messages written in jagged handwriting that police suspected had been written with the non-dominant hand in order to conceal his or her own handwriting. The harasser has never been seen, and the police have no leads as to who he or she might be. However, given the degree of knowledge the harasser had about the Wackers, it's possible that he or she is a neighbor, friend, or family member. The Wackers were both deceased in recent years, and the case was never solved as a result of this. The reincarnation of Sandra J. Jenkins. According to Georgia Rudolph, a resident of Macon, Georgia, she is the reincarnated spirit of a woman named Sandra J. Jenkins, who committed suicide in Marietta in 1911. Georgia claimed to have had strange visions about a woman in the 1900s since she was a child, and that she still does. In fact, she even went so far as to travel to Marietta, Georgia, where she was able to locate the house where she believed she had lived in a previous life, as well as the gravesite of Sandra's maternal grandmother. On top of that, a man came forward claiming to be Sandra's ex-boyfriend, and that he shared many of the same memories as Georgia. Uncertainty surrounds whether this is a genuine instance of reincarnation or not. What do you think about this video? Do let us know down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from us again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.